Traveling to Nepal.
Welcome everybody to tonight's Metal State Smart Call match. It's going to be ATK Unidentified versus Evo Esports. As you can hear it right now, we are traveling over to the beautiful Nepal. Interesting roster tonight, as we do have information that Chad for ATK Unidentified could not make it, so Gutbuster subbing in. And on the side of Evo Esports, quite a lot has changed over the times with their roster. What we see here is Maestro, their captain, is currently in the match. Terminator, which previously was Aviator, so a bit of a roll of the tongue over there. Sheldron, Killswitch over on the DPS, and Space Panda and Neru filling up the support roles here. Going to be quite an interesting one, as we do see moving over to Sanctum as our first portion of Nepal. Lovely cavern, chasm, hole of death. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do with it, especially compositions coming out of the gates. Both Neru and Gutbuster do have environmental kill potential over here on the Lucio. Interesting composition for the side of Evo Esports, opting for a dive with the Winston Diva on the front line, and then the Genji Ashe on the DPS. Potentially going to see some Mercy damage boosting over on the Ashe. Killswitch potentially going to be able to get a few picks off of it. Really depends what we see from the GOATS composition of ATK Unidentified. They've been playing GOATS extremely well lately, knowing that that is exactly what's needed in this current meta. Mikelele on his signature Zenyatta, and they're getting right into the fight, not holding back whatsoever. Moving forward, Terminator quite low, getting to the high ground, having to pop Defense Matrix, but getting completely melted by Squishy on the Zarya, as we do see the rest of Evo Esports having to back off as the kill feed starts flooding for ATK Unidentified. Right now, second best team in South Africa, just down one from Energy Eden. Capping the point first here, Evo Esports need to find a way to pull this one together, and their composition not really the best against a Zen Goats that we see from the side of ATK Unidentified. However, not wanting to swap, they want to go in with this. Quite a big dynamite from Killswitch. Not too sure if it's going to be enough, as right now lots of damage being applied. Sheldron finds Makelele though, but Killswitch goes down in the fray, and now Maestro not looking too healthy there. Rally coming out from the side of Sponge, going to be giving his team a lot of armor, as we see another kill landing, make that 2, as Evo Esports are going to have to back off here, although much smoother of a fight compared to the past one. Having to pick up Makelele in the start is very great for them, but Terminator having to reset in the situation, definitely some decent awareness from that. But right now, ultimates on the line. Sheldron, Terminator do have both Diva Bomb and the Genji Blade. We'll have to see where they're able to utilize this. Killswitch has Bob as well. So many ultimates, but Shapeshifter diving in deep, hoping to find Killswitch, and Killswitch has to throw away the Bob just for Shapeshifter. He's still going to find the kill as Killswitch. Shapeshifter separated from the fight now though. Sheldron pops the blade but doesn't get the value he needs from it. He's trying to get Gutbuster, manages to not land his strike. Missing, that's not what they want to see, but it seems like with Neru on their side, they seem to be getting quite a lot of value out of it. Self-destruct comes in from the side of Dizzy, but Maestro punches him whilst out of mech. Shapeshifter playing quite brash in there with his primal rage, and now resetting back into the fight with Spun, Squishy, and Makelele, as they tend to scare Evo Esports off of the point. Transcendence ready to go, but Terminator is going to use self-destruct, finds Squishy and Shapeshifter, and here we go. Space Panda gets the res, as well as the sound barrier coming in from Neru. This is where they can start turning it around. Makelele, Transcendence though, nullifying the advantage that they just got from that fight. And Space Panda looking very low, although not down and out just yet, actually surviving a little bit longer, and gets dived on by Dizzy. Need to find a way to come out on top, as it is overtime. Shapeshifter jumps right back in, tries to get some damage in on Neru, and Sheldron comes in, but he gets taken down as soon as he uses the Dragon Blade. And this is just the power of your triple support, triple tank composition, and why dive is not always the best solution to it, but a very good fight from Evo Esports. Would love to see what they can do going over to the next portion of Nepal.
Score 0-1. Ready for battle.
And as we move over to Village as our next point on Nepal, very favored to a Snoats composition. Maygoats, Snoats, a little bit of a double support, or a triple support, double tank, and then a single Mei composition, of course. In the past, Mei was played as a bit of an off-tank role. You'd swap out your off-tank and run her. But now, she's actually played as the DPS inside of a triple tank, triple support composition. And opting for the high ground, we do see a Moira Goats coming out from EVO Esports. Shapeshifter getting aggressive. Maestro getting very low, but Sponge can't follow up. Maestro charges and takes out Sponge at the start of the fight. Very good play from Shapeshifter. Turns around and charges back into the team. Maestro going down. This is not what you want. And oh my word, already getting a shatter from Shapeshifter, just ending the fight. How did he get that so quickly? The charge into so many players on the side of EVO Esports. Wow, that was before the point unlocked. Getting his ultimate, throwing it down and ending the fight. Point hasn't even been unlocked. Hasn't been taken yet. Gutbust is going to be the one to get it though, as still opting to play around the high ground. Squishy on the Zarya. Lots of charge. Going to hope to be able to use it as soon as possible. Grav just around the corner as well. And usually when you lose your Reinhardt in a fight, especially in these matchups, these mirror matchups to a degree, very low chance of winning the fight if your Rein goes down. And now we can see Unidentified he'll play very aggressively, and Maestro using his ultimate there but not getting the value because he gets taken out before the animation even ends. Unidentified can start pushing up very aggressively now, and here we have Squishy just beaming down EVO Esports. Of course, not down and out just yet, only 30% on the clock at the moment, and ultimate wise very favored to Unidentified, but that's not saying that EVO Esports can't bring something out here. Shapeshifter having Shatter just changes the game a little bit. But here we go, opting for the low ground, wanting to go through the main choke. Niru needs to play a little bit safer, manages to do so, and they need to speed boost onto Unidentified or find a way to play. Squishy pulling off a Defran, coming in from the top with oh my word, the Graviton Surge from above into a self-destruct and a complete takedown of two of the players from EVO Esports, and as such the fight goes to the side of ATK. Unidentified. Space Panda, last one left behind, 66% over on the point, not over yet. No ultimates used from the side of EVO Esports, which means that they can come back from this one, not down and out at all. Shapeshifter, Michaelele, only players on the side of ATK Unidentified ready with ultimates. It's going to be the Earth Shatter and the Transcendence. Going to have a lot of healing and a lot of kill potential off the Earth Shatter, but really interesting choices here from EVO Esports, going through a narrow choke. Sound Barrier comes out from Niru, wanting to move forward. Graviton Surge comes out, self-destruct there as well. Can they actually get something out of this? And Killswitch was not able to get the stun onto Shapeshifter to make it work. Self-destruct comes in from Maestro. He wants to turn this around as they do have the points in their favor, but Squishy still rocking around with a lot of charge, hoping to get something. But right now, ATK Unidentified actually backing off. All ultimates used on the side of EVO Esports, but they are managing to win the fight, and as such they start taking the point. A bit of a stall on Dizzy, although not down and out just yet. Squishy does have another Graviton Surge. Maybe he'll pull another Defran. Can't be too sure just yet. As Dizzy comes back into the fight, Squishy losing his ult charge as he waits for his teammates. And EVO Esports holding up the high ground, although ATK Unidentified have different plans, going through main. Quite a bit of damage being applied onto Maestro, and that's going to be a lot of ult charge for Shapeshifter. Here's the Graviton Surge holding them up against the rafters, and it's not what you want to see. ATK Unidentified just shredding through the defense of the EVO Esports, although Terminator throwing out the Diva Bomb, not finding anything out of it though. Space Panda comes in with Coalescence as well, hoping to find something, but the Discord Orb just a little bit too much there, as we see ATK Unidentified managed to take Nepal down to 0. EVO Esports put a very good fight there. A bit of a strange one seeing Dive coming out on Sanctum, especially when they knew that they were going to be playing against a Zen Goats composition. Didn't work too well, but on Village, their Goats was really not that bad. Moira Goats not as favored anymore, especially when you're up against your Zenyatta Goats. I can imagine maybe they don't have a very strong Zenyatta player on their team, and they don't want to risk that. They'd rather play to their own strengths. And I can understand that completely, but when it gets to this point, when you're playing against a team like ATK Unidentified, you can't really let that happen all too much. However, we'll have to see EVO Esports getting the choice for the next map. Oh, terrible overlays. But it's sorted now. So, just talking about Nepal a bit, teams such as JSG Rebellion, ADG Slinky, and some of their players even coming in from international teams as well. So we'll have to see what that really means for them. I know Space Panda is a very new pickup coming in from Nibble. Nibble side, previously Equinox. So I can definitely see a little bit of adjustments need to be made. They need to be able to get that team synergy back together as a full 6. And potentially with their subs a full 9. Although, not done out just yet. I was quite impressed with what they pulled out on Village there. Albeit we did see something huge from Shapeshifter getting the Earthshadow before the point unlocked. But following that, managing to get the point back against Unidentified, never the easiest of tasks. And they managed to do it in a fair amount of time. I mean, I think they were on about 86% or something like that, which is really, when it comes to a match where the scoreboard, or should I say the standings, are so stacked against you, being able to do that is not actually that bad at all. So I definitely can see potential from this team. Would have loved to see Killswitch land the shield bash from Brigitte over onto Shapeshifter to get that Diva Bomb value, although underneath that grav, not quite able to do so. Hopefully we'll see something different, as our next map is going to be Dorado. Michaelele, a little bit AFK, should be back in a moment. Evo ready to go on their choice of map, being Dorado. And viewing will continue as soon as we have both teams' players back and ready to go for Dorado. Both teams ready to go for Dorado as we load in. Can Evo Esports bring it back on their map choice here, or are we going to see another rather dominant play coming in from ATK Unidentified? Currently second in the country, Evo Esports tailing a little bit behind, but managing to get into the Pro League for Metal State. Quite impressive at that. Let's see how they hold up. Of course, most interesting part of the map, 20 seconds to go. Let's have a little squiz, shall we? For all players that are new to Overwatch, or should I say viewers for that matter, over here your attackers will be coming out of the spawn doors, and this is an escort map, so they will be needing to push the payload. It's going to have to go to 3 separate points on the map. Of course, first point being all the way over here by the gates. If they manage to get to this, their time is extended and the defenders are pushed back from their respawn. Once they've completed that, they will need to push it a little bit further around the corner here. Quite a windy road with a lot of high ground for the defenders over into the entrance of the Lumerico facility. Once they get here, time once again will be extended, and they will have another point unlocked for the payload to be pushed to the final position where they would be completing the map and hopefully either winning it right there or extending the amount of rounds required for the opposition. As we see, Sponge on Ash alongside Squishy on the Junkrat. Quite an unexpected comp, but looking a little bit cheesy, trying to find something. They know that Terminator would be in the air. Kill switch on the Doomfist, not something you see very often, but Sponge and Mekelele don't want to have anything to do with it. As you see with the composition coming in from Evo Esports, not something you see very often at all. Ryan Zarya rather standard in the front line. Space Panda on the Mercy alongside Miru on the Lucio, which is quite a, I would say, a strat of the past in regards to the support lineup. But the really interesting thing here is, of course, with your Pharmacy, they've decided to go with the Doomfist. I can't wait to see what Killswitch is able to do with this. Ooh, getting some high ground, wants to find Mekelele. Gets some damage in, but can he finish him off? I'm not sure how that didn't connect. Oh, and there we go. A mid-air shot from Terminator as Maestro pushes forward. Gets taken out, though, sadly. Dizzy in the front line doing a little bit too much. Killswitch does get bubbled mid-air. Dizzy very low, but can they... Is there a follow-up? No ways. Dizzy surviving by the skin of his teeth. Killswitch wanting to go in, but struggling a bit. Does find Dizzy, though. And Evo Esports actually looking quite strong on Dorado. I'm quite unhappily impressed. I do like what I'm seeing. Composition, very unorthodox, but definitely working for them. I'd love to see Squishy potentially swap over onto a Widowmaker for this situation. Go with a double sniper composition with Widow and Ash on the DPS lineup. But we'll have to see what they decide to do. As Terminator, previously Aviator, trying to find some sightlines to use. Damage boost working very well. And Squishy thrown back into the room. We do see, however, Shapeshifter opting to go to the high ground himself, probably trying to get something pretty fancy out of that. Terminator surviving once again. Interesting play coming in from Sheldron, making sure that his projected barriers keep his DPS alive. Killswitch very far ahead, and Meteor Strike coming out. Let's see where he's gonna land as Bob comes out as well. Sponge about to go down, but Killswitch gets taken out from the joint efforts of ATK. Unidentified Bob shredding up Evo Esports. Niru interestingly running into Bob. Absolutely love it. But definitely a good choice, as the reset is what was called in the comms. Killswitch. Such an exciting player to watch so far just from this first point on Dorado. I can't wait to see what else he's able to do. Dizzy sticking to the Zarya, not with much charge at the moment. Squishy doesn't want to leave the Junkrat, but really struggling to deal with Terminator and spending way too much time aiming for the air. Killswitch gets taken out by Sponge and Squishy. We see the Gravitron Surge coming in from Dizzy. Shapeshifter having a little bit of drive, a little bit longer, and at the same time, Sheldron does have a decent amount of charge, hoping to see if he can get some kills, but he's absolutely surrounded. And this is where ATK Unidentified do not want to deal with Evo Esports shenanigans anymore. Killswitch opting to stay on the Doomfist. We don't see any swaps just yet. 3 minutes on the clock. They have a lot of time to work with. Probably hoping to build some ultimates and get some value out of this one. Just rolling it back a bit. quite interesting to see that Killswitch did not opt to use his Meteor Strike to get away or get a more advantageous position. Instead, he just went in, and that ended up being a bit of a folly for him. Terminator switching off of the far end onto the Junkrat, which I'm not too sure if the verticality was working for them. Killswitch finds a way to just sneak in behind the shield of Shapeshifter, and now very low for Terminator as we need to see how else they can move forward. Michael opting to just stick to this high ground, landing or finding an easy way to apply Discord Orbs. Bob comes in and hoping to shred some players up as Maestro is struggling a bit against Bob. Bob gets slept but actually gets woken up, and now this might just spell doom for the side of EVO Esports as Killswitch is the first to fall. Shapeshifter tries to get a long charge but doesn't quite manage to get it, and Sheldron bounced away by Squishy, kept alive a little bit longer. Looking at ultimates over on the side of ATK Unidentified though. Don't forget about that Maestro! Long range shadow onto Dizzy straight from the skies. Killswitch coming back into the fight but gets taken out by Sponge on the Ash. Accurate as ever. And Maestro left alone. EVO Esports so much potential in that fight, but ATK Unidentified knew how to handle the raw power that they were bringing to the table. Dizzy still ready to go with the grab. And Squishy can combo up with that with a Riptire. Very unorthodox combo. You don't see it very often at all, but we could see the same thing potentially coming from EVO Esports in absolutely no time, and no D.Va on either team to eat up those grabs. So wherever they want to place them, that's where they're going to be going. Sponge getting a very early one to Terminator, removing any sort of combo from the side of EVO Esports, and they're kind of scattering a bit as Sponge is finding quite a few shots from the Ash. Of course, very new hero, although, well, not very new at this point, been around for a while, but definitely the latest. Finding a lot to work with. The Killswitch gets taken down. Graviton Surge comes out from both sides, and there's the anti-nade onto Dizzy and Shapeshifter, but there's no follow-up as we see Squishy taking out Sheldron in the backline with the Riptire, and Maestro once again sadly left on his own. Interesting to see. Usually you try and remove the main tank out of the fight quite early, especially in the metas we've been seeing with the triple tank, triple support, your Reinhardt, or your main tank for that matter if you're opting for a Winston styled composition. Often if you take the main tank out, the fight is over and in your favor, but right now they're just ignoring the main tank, making sure the rest of the team goes down first. Sponge, damage boosted still, and there we go. Sound barrier comes out from Niru. Meteor Strike coming in from the Killswitch, probably going to try find something. Squishy, very low, but can Killswitch follow up as he's trying to find some value out of it. Bob does come down, although Squishy is the one who falls. Michaelele needs to be taken out very soon alongside Dizzy and the side of Squishy. Killswitch falls. Gutbuster's still alive, playing very well on the Mercy right now, and Sheldron in the front line hoping to find something as we do see Terminator take out Michaelele, although Squishy doesn't want any of that and survives on an absolute sliver of health as we do see ATK Unidentified hold the point for a little bit longer, not allowing a second point for EVO Esports on Dorado. Of course, we are going to now be seeing ATK Unidentified over on attack.
Initiating match.
We'll have to see if EVO Esports is going to be able to put up a hold, or if we're going to see ATK Unidentified take back what they have marked. Seeing as, of course, when one team gets to decide the map, the opposition gets to choose whether they would like to defend or attack first. If you get to defend first, you're pretty much setting the pace for the match, and that's exactly what ATK Unidentified was doing. Now that they know how far the point is, and knowing that it has not been completed to the second point, they're able to get to that golden circle a little bit sooner. We'll have to see how it goes for them, as we do see on attack potentially trying to troll me once again, or we're going to be seeing, oh my word, my eyes, let's not go there, or we will be seeing a bit of a pirate ship composition, and it's not like we haven't seen it before, a double pirate ship composition where we see Squishy and Sponge both opting for the Torbjorn on the Bastion to sit on the payload, have Shapeshifter on the Orisa protect them, just like the sails of a ship, putting out that projected shield. Although Dizzy switching over to D.Va instead of the Roadhog, not wanting to hook anyone, just apply some peel with the defense matrix. But looking what we have here, not really the best composition to deal. Well, Maestro needs to make sure he's able to work with it, and oh my word, just Michaelele, as I've already said, the third DPS player on the team, just taking them down. Squishy finding the best positions possible to deal with it. Although, we do see Space Panda getting a res onto Sheldron. They're moving in. They want to collapse on top of Squishy, but they're not able to do it in a unified manner. Yes, actually, they managed to. Sheldron getting the headshot and taking him down, although he gets rezzed up shortly after by the side of Gutbuster. Now they're just shredding down inside this house. A little bit of a drive-by, as we will see ATK Unidentified complete the first point, sitting happily on the payload. Squishy nodding up and down. EVO Esports, although not done out just yet, very good effort taking down the Bastion, but they need to make sure that they're ready for a unified front to deal with this absolute blitzkrieg coming in from the side of ATK Unidentified. Maestro moving forward, a little bit of a peek is quite dangerous, but Terminator builds quite a bit of charge out of a kill switch, out of position and gets punished for it. Can't do that in those situations. There's a big halt trying to pull the team in, and Squishy is just going to town on the Bastion here. Maestro not able to last very long, and Space Panda left on her own to get taken out by Sponge's turret. As we see EVO Esports starting to crumble a bit under the pressure that is being applied by ATK Unidentified. Moving bit by bit, payload inching ever closer to the golden triangle, or golden rectangle, what am I saying? Although they're not going to go down and out without a fight. Terminator over on the D.Va, they need to touch the point very soon. Although D-Mech is applied so early, Sheldron takes out Sponge, and there we go, Dragon Strike as well. Squishy managed to escape by the skin of his teeth, getting killed up by both of his supports. And we do see, moving forward, Configuration Tank comes out underneath a Transcendence, and Squishy is just going to town with EVO Esports, making sure that there's no way for them to come back from this. Self-destruct from Dizzy cleans it up, and we will be seeing Molten Core spewed out as ATK Unidentified take Dorado.
Play of the game.
I must say, something from this is that it is great experience going up against Unidentified for the side of EVO Esports. Definitely being able to see their shortcomings in their compositions, trying to find a little bit more information about the team, because Unidentified is the team that will come out with the pirate ship when they feel like it, and Dorado is not an exception. Any escort map, they might as well just bring it out a little bit and see what they can do with it. Although, we will be seeing a third map, of course. And we'll have to see what EVO Esports selects as their third map, and whether Unidentified opts to go with attackers or defenders. Although, I'm going to wait for the teams to ready up, and then we'll be right back with the broadcast.
Traveling to Hanamura. Initiating match. Ready for battle.
And here we have both teams ready to rumble as we move over to Hanamura as our third map, opted in from EVO Esports. As again, we do see the side of ATK Unidentified on defense, opting for another Bastion or Risa centered composition. Interesting things from Dizzy there. Can't say I've seen that before. Squishy on the Mei, though, we've seen this comp before and we're going to see it again. Terminator is going to be sitting comfortably with Space Panda over on the Far Mercy composition here. Might just work out quite well for them, especially if they delay their entry a little bit. Maestro moving in, wanting to know what is happening. Halt pulls him up and almost breaks his shield completely, as we do see Sponge takes out Terminator, but they do trade Makelele for Gustbuster. is on the Mercy and can get the res, although Space Panda is the first one to get the res. Icefall on cooldown. If we have the side of Evo Sports just rush through here, they might just have a chance, but they're struggling and they're straggling, a little bit scared of the situation, and that's where a lot of damage comes in, although no players falling from that health, and this could be a little bit of an issue for the side of ATK Unidentified, although Maestro is able to hold up his shield. The rest of his team's not there. His shield's just going to get shredded, and the health holds them back, but they don't go down just yet. Niru doing a lot of work over there on the Lucio, making sure they have the speed boost, but we do see the adjustment coming in from ATK Unidentified. Sponge moving over to a different position, making sure he's able to work with it, but if they hold behind the bell, we will have to see movement from the side of ATK Unidentified, although Maestro falls down on his own. Squishy is sitting there quite comfortable with the lovely Ice Wall, although Ice Block now on cooldown. Sponge picks up Terminator out of the air, and Squishy not going down just yet, but a wall comes out. Nobody contesting the point, so we do see Sheldron trying to get a little bit sneaky, but I do feel like he has been seen, which is definitely the case. Squishy getting a lot of damage, and Squishy goes down. Hunts Maestro next, and he manages to get him as well. Cleaning up the fight of EVO Esports. Gutbuster does have Valkyrie alongside Squishy. Going to be ready with the Blizzard for the next fight on the side of ATK Unidentified. That's a nice few ultimates for the defense, especially with Michaelele coming up on the Transcendence. Swapping over to the Zarya away from the Diva, probably hoping to get some charge. I mean, kill switch, jumping off the Diva, but no defense matrix now. Space Panda opting for the Honor instead. Squishy just comes in on his own, and Maestro gets taken down by Squishy and Michaelele, making sure nothing can come from that. And the kill switch, you can see swapping over to the Symmetra, hoping for a bit of a leapfrog, but ATK Unidentified called their bluff. EVO Esports has to back off. They have to back off pretty fast here, although Squishy gets taken out. Gutbuster, if he can find it, doesn't manage to find it. It was right by him, and Squishy kept alive a little bit longer. This is the difference in caliber of players over here, of course. Lots of stress on the shoulders of Sheldron, as now we see, interestingly, swapping over to the Bastion themselves, opting for a Bastion Symmetra composition using the teleporter, moving forward, having the Orisa pop the shield. Surprisingly not seeing a Reinhardt here. Niru almost falling to that Michaelele. 60 seconds left on the clock. Maestro very low, also discorded, getting healed up though as we do see teleporter gets destroyed with only Nero moving on to the point and sound burying herself, but a little bit of a struggle here as we do see Sponge turning the rest of the team inside out, and Nero falls down to an icicle to the face as we see a supercharger come down to make sure that they have all the damage that they need to keep it together for the side of Unidentified. EVO Esports still have time to come back again. Kill switch, opting for the Genji, surprising. Seeing with what they're going with here. Bit of a dive composition, surprisingly no Diva. Maestro over on the Winston can definitely get shredded out here. Let's see what they decide to do. Sheldron frozen and taken out on his own. Bit of a struggle there. Terminator has the position, but we'll have to see if he's able to make it work, because right now Squishy knows about his location. They need to just touch the point, and Terminator is the one who decides to do that. Maestro jumps in as well, but Dizzy's there waiting for him, and we see Michaelele shred him down. Self-destruct from Dizzy, make sure they can't stand on the point, and we do see Niru jumping in to try to stall it a little bit longer. Sheldron is right there and manages to actually get on with the adaptive shield, but the Blizzard coming up from Squishy is going to end it right here, as we do see in overtime ATK Unidentified managing to get a full hold on Hanamura. Only going to be requiring a single tick instead of 3 to take the points and win the series 3-0. EVO Esports, we'll have to see what they have ready for us. Maybe there's a composition we haven't seen from them just yet that they're going to be able to put onto the point here. We shall have to see. Positions, EVO Esports might be shaking a little bit here. They know that it's a very, very, very large uphill battle. Right now, chances of them taking Hanamura back to begin a reverse sweep are little to none, although not going to count them out for this one, as definitely a massive, massive learning experience for them here. Hopefully they can bring out the compositions that they need going forward to counter what is coming out from teams like ATK Unidentified. Talking about ATK Unidentified, we might see something spicy from them to end it off. If Dizzy opts to stay on the Doomfist, we'll see a Wrecking Ball Doomfist composition coming out, which is something I'm actually quite excited to see. I'm not too sure of the viability of it. I doubt it's actually that strong, but I do like what we see from EVO Esports here on their defense, learning from what they saw from the side of 80k unidentified. Opting on the high ground, they've managed to get up there successfully.
Defend objective A.
Definitely new to them, as we see Maestro falling down and not applying the shield to kill switch. But we're gonna have to see it. I mean, Sponge over on the Symmetra. Going to be seeing Shapeshifter's shield holding out in the front. And Sponge going to be applying that teleporter. Shapeshifter not going to be able to stay there very long. And the teleporter is actually taken out. Very, very good play from Maestro. Opting to use the Halt to make sure they're not able to utilize the shield of Shapeshifter to keep the teleporter alive. Sheldron and Terminator take out Squishy. And ATK Unidentified, I don't think they expected this type of play to come in and bite them back after they've shown their strategy over to EVO Esports. But that's how you adapt and overcome your opposition. Godbuster opting to use his res very early onto Michaelele, just so that they're not stalling for any time. Sponge throwing out a few teleporters there, and they're actually getting taken out from the side of Sheldron. Or a few turrets there, but oh my word, they weren't able to pick it up this time. Squishy is on the point alongside Shapeshifter. Terminator is taking a lot of damage. Defense Matrix did not pick up that fire strike, although we do still see Shapeshifter and Squishy fall in the situation. The team on the side of ATK Unidentified are quite split, and I think they're not taking this seriously enough, as we do see EVO Esports pushing them to 2.5 minutes. Sponge over on the Hanzo now, hoping to potentially get an early pick. Although, EVO Esports opting to change their direction, and Sheldron taking Sponge out. I love this. Definitely some fantastic adaptations from EVO Esports to deal with what they're against on the side of ATK Unidentified. Moving forward, kill switch on the high ground over here. Maestro's shield doing quite a lot of work for them. Although, is it going to be enough? I don't think so, because we see Sponge and Squishy raining from the flank and from above to make sure that this composition is not going to work for them. Space Panda getting a little bit scared, and Earthshatter comes in from Shapeshifter, knocking down Terminator, who's going to get thrown off the point alongside him. Sheldron and Terminator need to find a way to deal with Squishy, but Squishy might just be able to take both of them out, and not even needed, as we do see ATK Unidentified taking the point and winning the Series 3-0 versus EVO Esports. Very well played from EVO, putting up a fantastic fight. But at the end of the day, ATK Unidentified not dropping this one. As you can see, some very accurate tracking from Sponge on the Bastion. Very well played. Absolutely love it. Really happy to see the way this came out for the side of ATK Unidentified, doing very well at making sure that no team but Energy Eden is able to defeat them. No team but one, and definitely going to be seeing a run back very soon in that regard. EVO Esports definitely going to be going back to the drawing board, but not down and out. Some very good effort and a lot of potential there. I can't wait to see where they're going to be going, especially with the revitalized roster, picking up Space Panda from Nibble, and Killswitch definitely having more of a limelight in their team now as well. Previously not really part of the core to my understanding. But that's going to be it for tonight from my side. It has been myself, Cloudburst, on the cast for the Metal State Smart Call Pro Series in Overwatch. And thank you so much once again to ATK Arena for allowing me to use their fantastic space to host this cast. But catch us again very soon. Stay tuned on Twitter. If you go, take a look at ATK Arena and at JM Cloudburst. You will be updated with every cast that comes across to your screens. But for me, it has been a lovely Tuesday night in sunny South Africa. It's good night.
Come